From crime to illegal nightclubs, Metro Police say rogue hookah lounges are a safety problem. After 13 people were shot at an illegal lounge this past February, police are asking for Clark County to create a hookah license.
It's a cultural get-together, and it can be done after lunch, it can be done after dinner. I remember the day when Payman secured the URL, hookahlounge.com. We were the first in the country.
Jeff Ecker helped launch Payman's more than 2 decades ago, bringing the cultural concept of hookah into mainstream dining. Decades later, there's more than 200 establishments across the Las Vegas Valley. But recently, Payman's made the tough call to remove hookah from its name.
Seems that the industry is seeing a lot of rowdiness and violence, confused a lot of people, and we were getting calls. It's the sad part. When you're smoking the hookah with family and friends, there's hugs and kisses. There's not gunshots.
Many times they advertise as nightclubs, advertising for admission fees, bottle service, live entertainment, dancing girls.
Metro Police say across the valley, some rogue hookah establishments skirt licenses, launch nightclubs in improper areas, or even bring illegal gambling or violence. Back in February at Manny's Glow and Commercial Center, 13 people were shot and 1 was killed. Police say Manny's didn't even have a hookah permit or liquor license. That's why Metro Police wants the county to create a hookah license for more inspections and background checks. There's debate how that would work.
The operators are people of color. There's a feeling and a sentiment that they are being targeted because of the music that they play.
A lot of good actors. There's very, very bad actors. And then there's people somewhere in the middle just trying to stay afloat.
It's a very successful business. It's part of the Las Vegas lifestyle. So we don't want to put them out of business. We don't want to cause them any harm. But as far as just the license itself, we're trying to really raise the bar.
Commissioner Tick Seeger-Bloom says he met with hookah owners and says a license will give the many good establishments out there more credibility.
When you take an entire culture and it turns this violent, I think something has to be done.
County officials in Metro are working on creating a license. How much could it cost? Commissioner Seeger-Bloom says he would look at how businesses in good standing don't have to pay much more or anything.